back is against the wall, and we will have to see. They will get the first ban here. It will set the tone. That means they will also be picking first, and Rona is gone.
Rona is actually a very good ban on GankStars Vega's side. So then they still know that Nemesis Hydra is going to go with something aggressive. At least this way they can prepare for it ahead of time. Having heroes like that and leaving Fortress out in the first pick, like they can either guarantee that Nemesis will ban it or they can secure Fortress.
Okay, we'll wait for Nemesis Hydra, and they take Fortress off the board.
It was left open last time, and neither team picked it, so that was kind of interesting. At the same time, I wanted to ask you, do you think that it's better to ban first or second? Like, which has the advantage?
It's actually supposed to make it so that it's actually balanced out, so that if you are banning and picking first, then the other team has 2 picks to secure. But like, let's say with this certain meta, like where we're seeing a lot of Koshka, Rona, and Fortress bans, if I was going first, I would of course leave Fortress open in case I'm given that scenario where I can pick up Fortress first and I have like a lot of options.
Flexibility.
Flexibility, who I want to have in the jungle duel.
Okay, we'll wait. GankStars Vega prioritize Arden.
Arden's a very good pick, especially with Rek playing a lot of Arden and having that experience to like know exactly when to Vanguard, which will make it most beneficial in using that barrier. But I'm not too sure like how Nemesis Hydra is going to approach this. Like, they want to get a very strong early jungle aggression comp where they're using their strengths to be able to push, bully, try and control the pace of the game. But the most important thing is like, when they're crossing over the middle of the jungle, they're able to set up a bunch of vision, and that's not something that they would walk over.
Do you think we're going to see the Saw comp? This is
the door
first
is
step, right?
The door is open for it. I mean, Old School seemed pretty disappointed yesterday that they had attempted that. Thought that maybe if they had just played heads up, that they might have been able to win out. And Nemesis Hydra, they love the early game aggression. They can certainly get it with Akashka and Ringo.
That's Nemesis Hydra. This is their comp, like their signature comfort picks.
And Hafu, we will see Hardik on Kashka.
That is quite scary for GankStars. I hope they do have a plan. I mean, would you say that the Saw comp has a chance against this, or?
The Saw comp was actually made up to be able to play against this meta comp of Ringo, Koshka, and Fortress. So ideal-wise, like, knowing that we're going to guarantee lose our jungle towards like a Koshka and a Fortress, but so then what we're going to do is like we're going to transgress up to the lane, use that lane pressure, force them up to the lane, or just make them like cost a turret. But having Fortress already banned out, Nemesis Hydra is probably going to try and secure an Adagio last pick. So the Saw comp won't really work out.
All right, there will not be a Saw, there will be a Sky, and does that indicate an Old School or a Fuji lane?
This would be a Sky on Fuji.
Okay, they rounded out with Glaive. Thoughts on that comp, Hafu?
Oh, we just saw the Glaive and Sky out of Liberation X, correct?
With T-Tigers on that Sky.
Yeah, so I feel like we've already seen the strength of Sky. It definitely can work if you have someone with great mechanical skill on Sky.
Now, Rome, it's got to be scary, though, with Hardik's Kashka coming after your squishy carry, though.
They're probably going to secure a Adagio for their last pick. So in this case, like, oh, Catherine, I was wrong.
You sound devastated.
I had like a whole paragraph set out if they were to pick up Adagio, but not anymore. So standard item builds on the Catherine, like all she's going to have to be doing is trying to lock down that Sky, making sure that Blade doesn't afterburn towards the Ringo.
All right, and what differences will we potentially see between T-Tigers on a Sky and Status Baked on a Glaive versus a Fuji on a Sky and an Old School on a Glaive?
Well, GankStars Vega actually used this composition against Vaughn in their second game, and they almost beat them. That was the one that was very close, and we thought they were going to come back. So we can expect a good showing out of them. It all depends on how Sky is able to use her mobility to maneuver around Koshka and Catherine.
It's certainly going to be critical. She's going to have to be using her heroic perk to float around. She's going to have to use her Suri Strike to dance and reposition in the context of the team fights. Hafu, any final thoughts before a critical match 2?
I'm excited. I wanted to ask Rome one question very quickly, is who has the early game jungle advantage?
Well, looking at GankStars Vega is most likely they're going to put Glaive in lane, being so strong against Ringo. So Sky's going to rotate down, and she's going to be playing in the jungle with their Catherine. So
Arden.
with their Arden.
Arden Sky versus Catherine Koshka. So
Oh my bad.
which matchup do you think is stronger?
It's going to be depending on how they engage. If Koshka is going in head first towards Sky, she's going to get obliterated. But if she's able to jump in, wait for that ability to come out, maneuver around it, and go back in, she has a good chance of taking down Sky. So it's very skill shot dependent, and whoever executes it the best is going to come out with the fight.
Once again, GankStars Vega with their backs against the wall. Let's find out what happens with our casters, Action Jackson and Vedius.
Welcome back to the caster desk, ladies and gentlemen, for Game 2 of this best of 3 between GankStars Vega and Nemesis Hydra. It's going to be an interesting one. I was talking to some players earlier on. I know that GankStars were working on their Sky last night in the game's Liberation X, which you also saw them pull it out. Very nice pickup. It worked well for them. How do you think it's going to work for GankStars, though?
Well, in terms of the early game, it should be a pretty close 2 versus 2. So if we do see a bit of jungle skirmishing, unless they decide to put it up in the lane, which they do have the option of doing, it depends on what their game plan is. But if they are going to go with the Sky in the jungle up against the Koshka, it could be very, very close depending on how well they can land those skill shots. Landing those abilities from Sky is going to be insanely important when you're going up against the Koshka. She is very mobile. She has the ability to jump around and dodge that forward barrage, which will only go in one direction, but that's about the positioning of whoever happens to be playing that Sky. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward.
I'm curious to see how quickly Sky picks up a reflex block this game too, because if she doesn't have one, moving into sort of the mid-game fights and maybe any 3v3s that happen early on, she is going to have a tough time surviving. So, guys, we are going to get onto the Halcyon Fold. This is GankStars' last chance to stay in the tournament. Nemesis Hydra trying to secure the win and move forward to the finals. Let's get onto the Fold.
All right, so very interesting starts coming out from both teams. We actually see a double flare coming out from the side of GankStars. Want to control that vision very early on. They're also starting at their lower backs, so they want to get those as soon as possible. I'm interested to see what sort of strategy they're going to go for. You can see that Nemesis Hydra also going for the similar start, and it is going to be old school up in the lane with this Sky in the jungle. So we are going to get that 2 versus 2. Very skill orientated in this particular matchup. I'm really excited to see, because I think that it's very likely coming out from Nemesis.
Yeah, and you see Nemesis actually going for early aggression here already with a lot of damage down onto Rex. Meanwhile, to what? Just Old School finds himself a solo kill up against the Ringo Coeds going down there. Massive outplay in the lane. Rex, though, is taking a lot of damage here. Old School pushing up very far, is going to need to back away. Man, GankStars, what happened with Old School in the lane?
I'm not entirely sure what happened. I wasn't expecting that coming out from Old School. I definitely know that he's a talented Glaive player, but to be getting a solo kill onto a Ringo, who during the early game is naturally pretty strong, is very, very surprising. That's going to give a massive advantage to Old School in terms of the experience and the damage.
That damage from Old School is ridiculous. Coeds chunked to half health after one combo. Going to have to book it on out of there. GankStars definitely showing some strength, some signs of life in the early game.
Well, maybe the crowd is the one that are revitalizing them. They know that this is their last opportunity to turn this series around. Currently sitting at 0-1 against Nemesis Hydra. They wanted to prove that in this El Clasico they can turn things around, but with this early game that they've had so far, they could very well be on their way to do that.
I think a lot of people are expecting this game to go to 3 series because historically these teams are very close and Nemesis just edges out ever so slightly. But Nemesis certainly aren't out of this. They're only 200 gold behind. That was only 1 kill. And Old School's spending a lot of his time roaming down here, not farming in the lane.
So Light Shield's coming out very early. They want to deal with the damage from Fuji, which is expected when you have that Sky. Picking up that early bit of crystal power, you definitely want to have that shield on yourself to deal with that damage. But it does look like they found Hardic. A lot of damage going down.
Yeah, Rex jumping in here. Didn't realize Lost Boy Toph was nearby. Coed's rotating as well. Fuji forward barraging, missing everyone. Look at that damage. First kill being picked up for the side of Nemesis onto Coeds. and that was way, way over aggressive.
Well, the biggest thing is Fuji missing his skill shot, and he did not respect the early rotations coming out from Coeds. The fact that Coeds got there significantly sooner than Old School did really turned the fight in their favor. It was basically a 3 versus 1. I respect Fuji for trying to keep his support alive, but I'm not entirely sure it was worth it. He should have left wrecked, and that is going to be equalizing the score 1-1.
Yeah, and Fuji actually is trying to stop this aggression in the jungle, not succeeding so far. Old School chunked down very early there. Coed's getting a bit of a revenge for that early kill at the moment. You can see Fuji struggling in levels a little bit as well. He is not getting any of his camps. Look at the poke coming out from Coeds. He's doing so much damage at the moment. GankStars need to be careful about letting this early game slip out of their fingers.
They really do. Wrecked, ooh, very close to being caught by Hardek, who's now sitting at level 5, has had a great start so far, currently sitting at 21 CS to the 11 of Fuji. Hardek has been doing a great job in this jungle, and it does look like Nemesis Hydra moving down into the center of the map. I wouldn't be surprised if they got very early control of this gold mine, simply for the vision. Yes, they're not going to get a very big payout off the back of it, but that control that you gain and being able to fight around it as the game progresses is something that Nemesis Hydra are going to be looking to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the vision, considering how they're trying to deal with some early aggression coming out of GankStars, does make a lot of sense. That said, I also think GankStars should probably chill out a little bit on the aggression. They've been going fairly hard recently. Fuji and Rekt moving a little bit too far up into the enemy jungle for my liking. Coeds is farming up really well as well. That's another thing I wanted to touch on. 42, given that he died early on against Old School, having that advantage is a big deal.
Certainly is, but look at GankStars. They want to do a bit of aggression themselves, grouping up as 3, moving into the enemy jungle because they know that they cannot deal with the level 6 hard deck. Speaking of putting a chunk of damage down onto Old School.
Wow, he's actually going in 1 versus 3 right now. That seems a little bit bold. Gonna jump on out. Lost Boy Top and Coeds now grouping up with their team to try and make this happen. Forward barrage over the wall gets blocked by the jungle minion and doesn't take down the kill. Rekt, he's slowed up with the Achilles shot. That is gonna be one for Nemesis. Old School tries to get in. He finds a kill, but it is a trade. Nemesis picking up 2 kills to the 1 of GankStars.
Wow, that was a big misplay between Fuji and Old School, because as Fuji used the Series Strike to get in, Old School knocked him back with the Afterburn, meaning that the Series Strike didn't land onto anyone, which meant that Hardek was able to just get away within an inch of his life. Oh, but it does look like that the death from above has come out from Fuji.
They really wanted that turret. It's not going to be enough, though. Lost Boy Toth actually falling for his greed there. Nice job by Fuji picking something up. And with that kill, 2 seconds left on the timer, he's going to have to get back from base. Maybe we'll see GankStars going for the gold mine here.
They could do, but they have to be careful going up against a hard deck.
Yeah, he is jumping in 1 versus 3. Pretty tanky with the itemization that he has gone for so far. But that gold mine is melting, and Coeds has no chance to steal it away. Decent payout collected for GankStars. They're keeping in this one, but still, the gold advantage absolutely going to Nemesis. They just got a turret as well to push that even further. 7.2k to the 4.6 of GankStars.
And that's largely due to the item the CS differential coming out between the two sides. Look at this, 58 on Codes to the 46 of Old School, 36 on Hard Deck to the 24 of Fuji. Nemesis Hydra have just been investing so many resources onto their solo players, or the solo carries even, to make sure that they get to these spikes, which they have just hit. Coeds has got the Sorrow Blade. Hardek has now got the Aftershock. If GankStars go for a fight right now, they are going to be in a very difficult position. And as I say that, Old School picks up a Sorrow Blade for himself. So both teams are going to be pretty happy in terms of hitting these power spikes, and it's going to be this positioning that's really important in these next few engagements.
I love how Nemesis took a 16 gold mine just because they want to have somewhere to fight. They're trying to be as aggressive as possible. It's been working relatively well for them so far. I mean, the kills are even, but the gold is certainly favoring Nemesis. If they are able to keep this up, they should be able to snowball, but GankStars doing a decent job of staying in this off the back of some early struggles. Here comes Lost Boy Top and Hardek, though. Death from above into choke point, lands onto both. That's a lot of pain going on to Hardek, but he still finds 2 quick kills there. Old School now being hunted down. Hardek, he survives that 1 versus 1, and an ace comes through for Nemesis Hydra. very big fight for them. They might even be able to look for a second turret off the back of that.
Very smart rotational play coming out from Nemesis Hydra. Notice how they grouped up, moved in through the jungle. It kind of looked like they were going for a buy, but they flanked around behind GankStars, set up for the engagement that they want. And because no reflex block had just been picked up yet for the side of GankStars, it was easy for them to land that stun combo with Hardek and Lost Boy, and they could very easily shut
the
down.
gauntlet gets thrown down. Hardek is in a very bad position all by himself. He's tanky, but he's not that tanky. Fuji finds himself a kill. Nemesis need to be careful not to let this situation get ahead of themselves. They gotta not bite off more than they can chew.
He's going to be quite happy with that, though, because they were able to pick up the turret, and he was able to get a bit of counter jungling down. So it's still pretty good for them, but another engagement is kicking off.
Yeah, they're trying to get on the Coeds. Old School does do a lot of damage there, but still Rekt is able to back on out. Coeds is safe for now. Lost Boy tough.
Candy.
He is 1 versus 3, using that minion candy to try and stop the gold mine from being taken. Death from above. Lost Boy Toff's got to play around that one. Coeds has actually healed up now. If he goes in, he might be able to find some kills. Old School wants to burst him down. He's so close, he finds it, but now Hardek's here. He wants to turn the fight around. Fuji's in a tough spot. The ultimate comes out. Yummy Catnip Frenzy gets Old School Hardek.
Oh.
He 1 versus 3s. He finds the ace, and Nemesis come out ahead in that fight.
Hardek with the aftershock doing so much work in that fight. He was able to go back by, return to the engagement with his reflex block, and mitigated the crowd control. The shield was so beneficial, focusing down the low health target of Old School, then getting the movement speed bonus off of his passive, then jumping onto Fuji, who just wasn't quite there yet with the Frostburn in terms of damage, and that was just Hardek cleaning up the fight in Nemesis's favor. Really beautifully played. Nemesis Hydra looking to close things out in a 2-0.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Sitting at about a 4.5k gold lead now. They have kept growing it, even off the back of some fights that looked fairly close. The gold miner is in their control and is stocking up slowly as well, about a quarter left. So this is a big point for GankStars. They need to maybe fight over if they want to come back into the gold. Lost Boytov just wants to start one off right now, though. Yummy Cannon Frenzy jumps right into the gauntlet, stops a lot of damage from Hardek. That is a good forward barrage, as well as the deaths from above. But look at the damage still going in favor of Nemesis. Old School trying to kite away here. He goes down. Fuji, the next target, is being protected by Rekt. Can Coeds close this gap? He should just turn and kill Rekt. He does find it. Hardek might look into the bush for the 3rd kill, but he is just going to go for the turret instead. Fuji, if he heals up here, might be able to do a lot of damage to them. If they decide to push the tower, I think it would be the sensible choice for Nemesis to back out.
Hardek does not have an off button. He dived by himself in a 1 versus 3. He felt so confident jumping into the front line because he knew he had the support. Things were looking pretty good for GankStars simply because Fuji had a great death from above to pretty much split up the side of Nemesis Hydra, but it just wasn't enough. The damage wasn't there, and they were easily able to turn that fight in their favor. Fantastic play coming out from Nemesis Hydra, knowing exactly what they need to do to come out ahead in these fights.
Absolutely, and you know, right now at 11 minutes into the game, they have such a significant lead. They just got the immense payout connected. That actually really hurts GankStars too, the timing on that, because they have no way of contesting much of the gold gain from Nemesis right now. They can just control the enemy jungle.
You know, we might have been harping on about Hardek a lot, but Coeds really has been the unsung hero simply because of his 6-2-4 record. He's always been positioning perfectly. He's been allowed to get as much damage off as he wants, and now that he's completed both the Sorrow Blade and the Turret's Monocle, he's going to be hitting hard. He's also just picked up an infusion. This could be the opportunity the Nemesis Hydra are looking for to potentially crack the base of GankStars.
Yeah, Hardek clearly fishing for a kill here. He is playing very far forward with his teammates off on the flank. Coeds needs to be a little bit careful of biting off more than they can chew, getting maybe afterburned into the team. GSV, they want to set something up here. Old School gonna be the first target. The gauntlet goes down, but look at the damage. He's gonna get out of there with the reflex block. Rekt on the backside, not taking anything yet, but Fuji is collapsed upon. He was abandoned by his teammates and goes down. Old School burning up here to that Hellfire Brew. He just makes it to the base in time to heal up. Rekt hunted down by Coeds as well. He's going to jump over the wall, but look at that last auto attack coming across, finding the kill. A turret, I believe, as well went down there for Nemesis. They've picked up so many advantages over the last few minutes. GankStars, their backs are to the wall. If they lose this, they are going to be in the 3rd, 4th place match.
There is just too little shield on the side of GankStars. They cannot deal with the damage coming out from Hardek. This is why this Aftershock is working so well, simply because of how squishy the lineup of GankStars is. They have the pick of the litter. The moment they forced Old School back, they immediately turned onto Fuji, and you saw how quickly they shut Fuji down. Old School not having that reflex block is absolutely massive in these engagements because it makes it so easy to concentrate on which target they want to shut down very early on in these engagements.
It really, really does. And right now, Nemesis has the pick of the litter as to how they want to play this, what they want to take. They can pretty much do whatever they want. It's only 13 minutes into the game. They're almost at a 10K gold lead. That is absolutely massive. We really need to see GankStars just turtle up, try and get maybe the back camps, the ones close to their base that they can take safely. But aside from that, they need to be careful about moving into the jungle. I'm kind of surprised about the last fight, to be honest. I don't think they should have moved up in the way that they did. It's just not, they can't take fights right now.
They really can't. They have to try and stall things out simply because Hardek will eventually reach a point where he falls off a little bit. Coeds will also start to fall off, whereas Glaive and...
Whoa, Hardek actually going to jump right in here. Uses that Yummy Catnip Frenzy onto Old School. He's so far ahead of his team. The silence comes across 3. Rex tries to jump into Hardek, but he is going to go down. The damage is ridiculous right now from Coeds. Hardek is even still alive. Coeds wants to get this kill before he can get to the fountain. They find it. They get it. Now Fuji, 1 versus 1 on the backside against Lost Boy Tough, but he's doing no damage. Hardek jumps in, he survives the whole fight, and Ace comes out. Nemesis Hydra looking to maybe even push for the end here, going for these Vein Crystal turrets.
Hardek, I said he has no off switch. He's always about jumping in and starting these fights, even by himself, because of how naturally tanky and strong he is. They're looking to try and end the game. I don't know if they can yet, though.
Wrecked is very, very low. They're trying to stall this one out against Nemesis. Can they find it? Coeds just stutter stepping like a madman right now, trying to get the last hits down, and they do pull it off. Nemesis